This one is by Mae Jemison, and it says, never limit yourself because of others' limited imagination. Never limit others because of your own limited imagination. I'll read that again. Never limit yourself because of others' limited imagination, and never limit others because of your own limited imagination. I really like that. Tit for tat. So do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So in the same measure that you want people to believe in you, believe in people as well. A great challenge for all of us this morning here on the show. All right, well, we want to get to know our next guest now. His name is Alan Chisang, and he's a political aspirant and a businessman. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so you have quite a story to tell. I understand you actually were born in a slum in Trans County, and you're now a businessman. Tell us a bit about your childhood.
First of all, thank you so much, Joyce, for having me here. It's a pleasure. And Alan Chesang is my name from actually a very, very humble background. And called Matano in Trans County.
Matano.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a very it's actually it's a slum in the middle of a slum, surrounded by other slums, Bondeni. I'm sure those who are watching me and know Trans very well, they know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that is my humble background, and it has been a long journey.
Okay.
It has been a long journey. First, I come from a very, very humble background. My dad and my mom actually are staunch Christians.
Okay.
And I really appreciate them for bringing me up in a very good and in a Christian way. Yeah.
Okay. And when you were a child then, I mean, growing up in the midst of poverty and in this very tough background, what were your dreams and your hopes then? Like, what would you tell yourself as far as one day when you're an adult?
What I can say is, I think that is, I might first really, really, really commend my parents for raising me. Due to now where they came from, they really tried raising me in a good and also comfortable way as where I was born is concerned. And being in that background, growing up in those slums, really, really started teaching me a lot from when I was young, because I used to see how my dad would struggle and my mom, and I used to see how they would struggle to pay my fees and whatnot.
Right.
And I just came to think, actually I started thinking when I was very young, and I started thinking how I would not want this kind of life for my children.
Okay.
So I really, really tried as much as the schools that I went back then, from nursery to primary, wasn't that really good. It really, really motivated me to try and think to have a much more better life when I was still a very young man.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I think that question is important is because there's many young people who are in that place right now, and they've never been able to see past their current circumstances. So I'm very curious about what caused the shift for you then, to then begin to imagine this bigger life for yourself, because I understand that you made your first million at the age of 18.
Yeah, that is actually not even 18. I think my first million, I made my first million when I was in Form 1.
What were you
Form
doing?
1 was, I think I was it 17 or 18? Can't really.
You must be
remember.
younger too, yeah.
So I was a professional table tennis player.
Okay.
Okay. I represented my country both in local tournaments and also international tournaments. So it came to a time where we came for a qualifiers tournament in Nairobi when I was in Form 1, and of course the champions were qualifying to go for a tournament in Congo Brazzaville,
Okay.
which I qualified, and I was among those youths who were going to Congo. Actually, that was under 18.
Okay.
We were juniors by then.
Yeah.
So we went for the tournament in Congo, and as I've been saying before, I really appreciate my country. You know, it's many athletes don't speak about this, but if you go out there, meet other people, meet other nationalities, other athletes, and you see the kind of allowances they're being paid, and you look at what you're being paid, then you'd understand how Kenya really supports the athletes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was my first allowance that I was given.
Your allowance was 1 million shillings.
That time was around $9,000 there then. If you
Okay.
calculate with the current exchange rate
Okay.
at 107 or maybe 100, it's more or less like 1 million shillings.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what you did with that first money? Was that the first time that you had held money like that?
Yeah, that was the first money that I held. That was the first money. That was the first time I held that kind of money. And of course, you'd understand when you're in Form 1 and you have that kind of money and you're confused, don't know what to do. You buy just gadgets and, you know.
Your parents didn't take it for you and keep it in a safe place?
No, they did. I think part of that money, at least $5,000-$6,000, I gave it to my dad
Okay.
to keep for me.
Okay.
My dad was an insurance broker by then, and he was also an expert in buying and selling of shares. So my dad bought shares for me with that money. So partly, at least, half of that money, my dad really invested for me. But then I was not happy, you know. But as time came, I saw how important that was. That was just my first tournament.
Okay.
I also represented the country in many other tournaments. I represented the country in Algiers,
Okay.
in Algeria. I represented the country in Delhi in the Commonwealth Games. So I went for other many tournaments.
Right.
And of course, that was my first source of income. My main source of income was from table tennis.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done to you, and good
Thank
job in
you.
representing our country.
Thank you so much.
I imagine, though, you've now retired from table tennis.
I have retired, but I'm still nurturing young kids
Okay.
from less fortunate families.
All right.
I have a team of quite a number of kids who are actually, most of them are now in the national team.
Yeah.
And I also have some certain arrangements with certain schools in that once they are very good in the game, they can be given scholarship from primary
Okay.
to university, and also they are supported in many other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here you are, you've made quite a significant amount, representing the country through table tennis, have made some smart decisions, at least in terms of giving your parents some of the money to invest for you.
Yeah.
So we can see at least where part of your wealth began to grow. And then now, having sort of retired from active playing, you then found your way into business. Tell us a bit about that side of your life.
Mostly in terms of business, I think to me, from the word go, I think being self-employed was like a calling to me.
Okay.
All right. So I always dreamt of being self-employed and creating employment to others. From my primary school, if I know people from my primary school are watching, and they will tell you, I used to sell biscuits when I was in primary school.
Okay.
And also avocados when we were just at the dormitory, and I used to do small kind of businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so that dream, I have been dreaming in that direction for a very long time.
Okay.
And apart from that, my dad was my mentor, who is also my teacher. He's someone that I look up to. Also really played a very big role in terms of nurturing me into business.
Okay.
After, actually, during university, when I was in university, I was in Moi University. My dad now had started doing clearing and forwarding. He went into businesses of doing all clearing and doing all imports and exports.
Okay.
So when I used to come to Nairobi, I used to stay with him, and I used to move with him every single morning to the office.
Okay.
So he started showing me this business.
All right.
So I was really learning from my dad, and
Right.
he was doing quite good at that time when I was in university. Then it came to a time when he thought of going back home. That was around 2010,
Okay.
when I was studying university.
All right.
So he wanted to close down the business, but at least I had learned how to do what he was doing. So he left me with someone, of course, who was still operating, because I was still in campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking after the business when he went back to Kitale.
All right.
So when I was still in university then.
Okay.
So I used to be Eldoret, Nairobi.
And what were you studying, by the way, in university?
Business management.
Business management.
Yeah.
So this was already within your plan.
It was already within
your
my
line.
plan, yeah.
Very interesting. I want us to take a little break, but when we come back, I want us to then talk about when politics came into play, because that is part of your aspiration now.
Mm-hmm.
You did try it out in 2017. Perhaps you'll be trying it out in 2022.
Most definitely.
All right, so we're going to learn a bit more about that. But especially to you who is young and watching this, I really want to hear your questions to Alan Chesang here, as far as any just sort of counsel you want to hear from him. And this having been International Youth Week as well, maybe we'll also be hearing from you as far as your counsel to young people, especially in a day and age where we see so many turning to shortcuts and then just suddenly appearing on the scene with wealth that we cannot explain. Okay, so I want us to have that conversation when we get back. 22999 is the SMS line, and we'll be back after this. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce, and thank you again for your company. I do appreciate you being here today, and I'm here with my guest. His name is Alan Chesang. He's a businessman and a political aspirant, and we're just talking a bit about his journey towards success. And of course, I think many of us kind of understand that sometimes when you gain success and when you achieve success, you can kind of get jaded, right? And you begin to, maybe you get a sense of pride that develops, that becomes almost unhealthy to some degree. How do you manage that? Because obviously you've definitely had quite a bit of success in your life, not just as an individual, but even, as far as the national level, even representing our country. So how do you keep yourself grounded?
With that, I might say that for me, I take every opportunity as a challenge. Okay, I look at every opportunity as a challenge, as in I try and also venture into many other businesses, but I believe I'm humble, and I believe that that cannot change. That cannot change me. Okay, that cannot change me. So long as if I look at where I've come from, I have seen a lot, and I'm double sure that I can't be jaded by what I've achieved or what I have right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish we could say that about everybody else, though, because I think it's very clear to us that even the young sort of parliamentarians that we have, the young sort of political leaders that we have, a lot of them, are somewhat questionable too. And as someone who's aspiring to be in that space, how are you sort of guarding yourself, from becoming another one of those stories?
It all depends with not where you've come from or there's your source of money. Your source of money can be questionable, but if you don't have a story or a background of where this source of money came from. Okay, there's some people who will have nothing today, and next week they have unquestionable money. Okay, so myself, I have a story to tell, and anything that I've passed through, any business, everywhere that I've passed, and the success that I've had is mostly on record. Okay.
Okay.
I know I have people I've worked with. I have records of the businesses that I've done. I have records of the tenders and which county and where and with who. You understand? So all those things is things that even if I am told today to provide evidence of what I've done or where my money came from, I can account for each and every penny that I owe right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to us then about your political aspirations. You actually did run for a Member of Parliament seat in 2017.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Running for a Member of Parliament seat is not easy, my dear. It's a challenge, and it's something that you need to decide. Okay. To me, I say no one in my family is a politician, by the way. Okay, I'm the first politician in my family, and to me, I will also say that leadership also is like a calling to me. Okay, and this is a call to serve the people, to serve the youths. All right, and the best platform that I saw, which will make me serve each and every youth or each and every Kenyan, was into politics.
Okay.
So that is why I chose to go into that direction. Yeah.
And so should we expect to see you running again? Obviously, it didn't work out in 2017, but do you still have those aspirations then for 2022?
As I said before, it's a calling, okay? And I will still be there. I will still be in the race. Yeah.
What does it mean it's a calling?
It just happened. That's why I started by saying that no one in my family is a politician.
Okay.
Everyone in my family were like, how did you even decide to be a politician? You know? So to me, I just woke up one day and I thought, you know, I want to be a leader. You know, I want to serve the people. I want to make sure that the public money goes down to each and every person on the ground. Okay? So it is something that just came into me. I was not planning to be a politician. It was not something that was planned.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, and I can also tell you that if you know where I've come from, if you've been to Kitale, have you been to Kitale?
Once.
Once.
Yeah.
If you've been to Kitale or if you come from Kitale, you definitely want to be a leader. I am very sure that each and every youth in Kitale would want to be a leader because of the leadership that is in Kitale, in Trans Nzoia.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
All right. Very interesting. I have to ask you about this one because there were some allegations at some point about laptops and about a motor company.
All right.
Can you just explain to us what happened and clear the air for us in your words? This is the laptop project. Yeah. You were involved in this project?
Yes, I was involved. Okay. And what I'd say is, okay, the issue is in court right now. I would not want to speak about what is in court.
Okay.
But then I just want to say one thing. At least, you know, when this thing happened, everyone had his own story. Okay. But I believe now the judicial process is now taking things the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
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 This is something that happened, which I got myself into without even knowing. All right.
Without knowing?
Yes, without knowing.
How so?
I just want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
If today you have an apartment, okay, and you've rented your apartment out to someone, okay, and for example, your tenant is being arrested of having bang in the house.
Okay.
Will they arrest the tenant, or will they'll come and arrest you as the landlord?
Okay. They should arrest the tenant.
Thank you.
But there's a question about due diligence.
Yeah.
So had you done your due diligence as far as making sure you know who your tenant is?
I had done my own due diligence to an extent that I could.
Okay.
Okay. Which this is the same reason why before we give your house to anyone, you have to do an agreement and all those legal stuff that you have to do.
Okay.
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 Which was pretty much done, and with witnesses, with the lawyers to witness each and every agreement.
Right.
Okay. So that is in court, and I really thank God that it went to court, and I'm sure that the court will rule the case very soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Because it's in court, I can't ask you too much about it. Nonetheless, I can ask you generally about Kenya politics, corruption. Obviously, you know, as young people, we see these guys that we vote in go and they mess up and they don't keep their word. Why should people believe in you for 2022? What are some of the differences that you really want to bring about? What are some of the changes that you want to bring about, especially as far as corruption is concerned? Because you've also said here today that you don't believe in these shortcuts.
Yeah.
You believe in people working through, you know, their life journeys and getting to a place honorably and carrying out their work diligently. So what would be your stance then as far as something that has obviously plagued the current government? And many question, you know, if anything has been accomplished as far as dealing with this vice of corruption in Kenya. Why should the young people of this nation put their trust in you?
What I can say about that is politically, and the Kenyan minds, okay, they don't look at someone as in they look at, for example, the tribe, where the person comes from, or which party, you understand? That is the mindset of Kenyans, okay? So what I would want to tell the young people is, when they are voting, they should not be waved or be carried away by this is which party we are voting, or this is my person, my tribe, you know. That is one mistake that Kenyans do. They don't look at what someone, an individual can do. They don't vote an individual. They just cover all this and look at we are voting for Jubilee, or we are voting for ODM, or we are voting for, you know, Ford Kenya. That is the mindset that Kenyans need to change. And also the youths have to believe that a young person can rule this country.
Right.
Yeah, I think Kenyans really need to change on that. And as this being a youth week, I really want to talk to the youth about this. And they should believe in their fellow youths. They should give them a chance, and they should not look at this party politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you believe that you fit that role well, and that young people can then count on you?
I believe I fit that role, and what I've done actually would really tell you that not leave alone politics. I also do other things. I also do charity. I also do other small projects. I also have employed the youths.
Right.
So I think I might. I think the youths actually in just leave alone where I come from, even here in Nairobi. I know most of them believe in me, and I also believe that they can also be leaders of themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, being Youth Week, just yesterday or the day before, we were talking about the fact that young people, it's taken so much for us to even just get a seat at the table, as far as decision making is concerned. But even more so, I think now we're finding ourselves being invited to partake, you know, at the table, but few are actually allowed to then lead, you know, industries, ministries, you know, programs and activities of government, despite the fact that the majority of our population are young people. So one of the biggest things that remains unanswered in this question then is how to deal with impunity and how to deal with lack of allegiance really to the people of Kenya and people not delivering to their word. What is your viewpoint on that? Because again, if we're saying that young people are the ones to be providing the solutions, it's important for us to be able to air those out as well.
If you'd ask me today, I'd say that if young people can come together, you understand? You know, young people don't want to believe one person can change all these things about impunity and whatnot. Apart from just changing, young people also do not know how to come together and move a motion. Okay.
Okay.
I'd give you an example of Northern Sudan. Okay. You saw what Northern Sudan did to get the president out of the seat. They all came together to the streets and they managed to get the president out of the seat. Okay. So young people, if young people can come together and believe that they can change these kind of things, okay, I believe we can do a lot. We can change this country. Okay. The problem with the youths is that they might believe in someone, but they will not want to engage together and believe that they can move a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you feel there needs to be some sort of coalition among the youth.
Exactly.
All right. So does that mean you're reaching out to some of the young parliamentarians and young sort of prolific political leaders that we have in this space?
That's what I'm doing.
You are. Okay. All right. Well, we are just getting ready to end our conversation here. But someone here is saying, hey, Joyce, it's Prince Afako. And what I can say, our main challenge comes from people who have many followers because we see them with money and fame. But when you talk to them, they always ignore. So we tend to follow shortcuts. As for me, I have to talk to many celebrities concerning my music career, for example, but there's no one who has given advice. And I guess there's a question of a lot of young people sort of looking for counsel. And there's a measure of being taught how to be a leader, especially for a young person who's not been raised in that way. So maybe as you address that question, you could also just talk to the greater population of watching this show as far as your sort of advice of how to move forward in life and what to pursue and what not to pursue.
I really understand what you said Prince is talking about. It's really not easy. It's really not easy to get to where you want to be. When I was starting, apart from what I was doing, the clearing and forwarding that my dad left for me to do, I really wanted, because the business was not really doing well at that time. And you know, many people just talk about their success. No one talks about the failures. I really tried to also reach out to other business people, want to mingle, want to ask for advice, and you know, it was really hard for me to get to where I am.
Okay.
But the worst mistake someone can do, because I am very sure the people he approaches, I am sure there are more than 1 million youths approaching the same person. If you look at, for example, my DM in my Instagram or my Facebook and my Twitter, I get more than 3,000 messages every single day. And of course, I cannot attend to all of them. Okay? So the only advice that I will give such like a person is he should not give up. Okay? He should keep looking for these people. He should try and look for help from the mentors or whatever he's looking for. He should not give up and just say that these people, they are not replying to me, you know, so I give up. And you know, that is the worst mistake that the youth do.
Okay.
They try get something. If they don't get it once, they just give up. Okay, so I'd really like to urge him and tell him that he should not give up in life. He should, now that I'm here today, he should also start DMing me and getting to me maybe.
Hopefully you'll find him among the 3,000.
And you'll see, I've apart from that, I've also featured in those music videos and whatnot, just supporting the youths.
Okay.
And these are things that we do, and we don't really have much the way people think, but the little we have, the connections we have, and I have so many friends who have studios. These are people who can do favors for me.
All right.
These are people who can give attachment to one person who is looking for an attachment or a job opportunity anywhere. So what we have, the connections, so if we can sponsor a video, just supporting the youths is enough to help such like a person.
All right.
Yeah.
Alan Chesang, nice to meet you today. Thank you for coming on to the show and for sharing a bit of your journey with us. And you've said your Instagram, you're on social media. How can people find you and follow your journey?
Alan Chesang is my Instagram handle. Then on Twitter is still Alan Chesang. Facebook still Alan Chesang. And I also have one message to the youth just before we finish.
Okay, very briefly.
Okay. I just like to urge the youths to first, number one, believe in God. Number two, to always believe in their dreams and to believe in their hearts and to fight to what they want to achieve. And the other thing, the last thing that I want to tell the youths is that they should not look at what other people have. They should chase their own dreams.
All right.
What works for someone else might kill you. You
True.
understand?
Very true.
And it does not mean that when a rose smells nice, it can make better soup than tomatoes, for example. Okay.
All right. Point noted.
So I'd like to urge the youths that they should believe in themselves and work to achieve what they want. What they
All
believe
right.
in. Yeah.
I'm afraid they're going to have to catch up with more of that inspiration on your social media platforms. But thank you once again for being here today.
Thank you.
We
for
do
having me.
appreciate you. Guys, we need to take a break now before we call it a day. Coming up next, we have our final segment. We're going to be talking about easy bakes you can do at home during quarantine. 22999 is the SMS line. We'll be back after this.